All right. Greetings, everyone. This is Payman Lorenzo, your host of the Leaders Lab podcast. We have a very special guest, special venue, special location with my good friend here, Mr. Rico, in the house. Actually, we're on a swimming pool, if you can see from here, in BGC, Manila. And been here for about almost a week. Met with him 2 nights ago for dinner. And today we are at this place to catch up. He showed me around and also to catch up on the podcast because he was one of the first people I had on my podcast 2 years ago.
Yeah, roughly.
And now, almost 2 years later, we're here to see what's his progress and all that. So Rico is a good friend of mine. We've known for quite a long time. We both lived in China. He was in the south in Guangzhou. I lived in Hangzhou in the north. And then moved to Shenzhen and Hong Kong, and he's the e-commerce guy. I used to be in e-commerce, now I'm transitioned to something else. So we're gonna catch up and talk about all that good stuff. So Rico, brother, always a pleasure having you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. It's been a while since we did any content together. Probably roughly, I think I was on your show first, and then you were on my podcast. You're on the Made in China podcast a long time ago, and then I was on Leadership with Heart.
Leaders with Heart.
Yeah, Leaders with Heart. And then the third one was my digital summit.
Yes, and you invited me to talk about giving back, how giving back, being a business with a heart, with purpose, with a mission, it's so crucial in today's world as a way to stand out.
So let's address the elephant in the room. I'm blonde now.
All right.
Last time you guys saw me, I was not blonde.
So what's the genesis of you going blonde?
I think honestly, to make a long story short, I think I was just influenced by TV, man. Like a lot of I watch the Premier League a lot, specifically Manchester United. I did notice a trend in the last 2 years of players dyeing their hair blonde.
Pogba,
Anthony, Sandro Martinez. There's so many, like Garnacho. That's in one team. There's 4 players that dyed their hair blonde. When I watch other teams, I'm also seeing the same thing. Not that I was like, oh my god, I want to look like them. It was more just like I think over time, it just kind of influenced me. And then a couple of years ago, somebody asked me if I would dye my hair blonde. I said, hell no. I said that at the most I might do like a blonde streak or something in my hair, but then we're having a pool party actually, ironically, and we're listening to Maluma, who's a Spanish artist, very popular right now, and I saw like the music video and his hair was blonde, and then I just thought to myself, maybe I'll just ask the girls at the party, like, so is my girlfriend's friends and my girlfriend, what would you think if I dyed my hair blonde? And then I showed them the Maluma video, and then they were like, yeah, I think it would be cool, I think it would look really good. So got the stamp of approval from the ladies, and that's all you need.
You know, speaking of the influence of footballers and the hair, I don't know if you remember way back during World Cup 1998 in France.
Yeah.
Romania's team, they made a bet among themselves. If they were to win the first 2 games and qualify for the knockout stages, the entire team would dye their head and blonde, and they did. Do you remember that?
No.
I'll send you a link on that after. And they did. They qualified to next round, and then they partied too much, and then they got knocked out after because but they did it. They held their promise.
Well, that's what like Sir Alex Ferguson used to say about winning, right? It's like you don't celebrate too much.
Yes.
Don't celebrate too little. You know what I mean? You acknowledge that you won. You have a moment, and then you move on to the next. And that's how successful people maintain success.
Totally, absolutely. So
it's a little bit unhealthy in some aspects because, like, when you think about it, like, you win the Champions League, for example, but then you celebrate for one day, and then the next day you're just like back to the grind. It's like that's a huge achievement, you know.
It's the biggest achievement in a club level.
Yeah.
After the World Cup, the Champions League is the second best.
So, but then it's like the way he says it is like you celebrate on those things when you retire. When you retire, you reflect on your career and you're happy, satisfied. You won multiple Champions Leagues and Premier League. So I guess it depends on everybody. I personally feel like I'm more on the celebrate little. Don't get too high, don't get too low, basically. Yes.
Grounded.
Yeah, that's sort of my mentality.
Awesome. So, Rico, for people who don't know you, so as you may remember, my podcast is all about, sure, we're going to talk about you as a businessman, your achievement, your business, but what I'm mostly interested in is having a look under the hood, so to speak, to see what's in your heart, to have a heart-to-heart conversation, hence the name Leaders Heart. I want to know, and my audience wants to know, who's Rico as a person, as a man, as a human being, first and foremost before the business person. So tell us, who's Rico as a man and as a person, as a human being?
Well, I just mentioned, like, don't get too high, don't get too low. So despite the blonde hair, I'm a pretty grounded person. I'm sure you recognize that over the years. Like, I've never dyed my hair before. The most I did was I relaxed my hair so it was straight before.
You dyed your beard too, eh?
No, my beard is natural.
Oh wow!
It's a natural thing.
Wow!
Yeah. It's actually a genetic mutation.
Amazing.
Yeah, I researched. I think I might have actual European blood in my family.
Have you done the DNA ancestry?
Not yet, but like I was talking to my parents, to my mom specifically, and my sisters, and they said that our great grandfather was very light skinned, potentially mixed with some. It's hard to track these things, obviously, because they didn't have records back then. But yeah, so apparently he might have, or she might have, slept with one of the European travelers, during that time period. But yeah, in terms of me as a person, as a man, I don't know where to start, man. So I'm grounded. I try to be grounded. I am confident in myself. I'm a little bit cocky sometimes. I like to think I'm funny. I used to be a class clown.
Really?
Yeah, I used to be a class clown. But I think I was doing it for attention, honestly. When I was in high school and elementary, I used to do it for attention. So like when I got to college, I kind of chilled out more, and I was still funny, but I just didn't. I wasn't attention seeking as much.
Did you get into trouble in school, in high school, for being always?
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Like there was 1 week, of school, Monday through Friday. I got kicked out. So we had like 7 classes a day. 7 classes a day. I got kicked out of 6 out of 7 classes every day for 5 days.
Was that just that 1 week or every week?
That week.
Was it the super moon or something? Or?
No, you know what happened was like 2 days in a row I got kicked out, which was normal for me. I used to get kicked out of class quite frequently. But there was one day I got kicked out from 6 classes in a row. Then I was like, all right, so it was funny. It was just a funny story. Like we're joking around about it with my friends and everything. Then the next day I got kicked out of classes again, same classes, right? And then now I was like, maybe I can keep this streak going and try to do this the whole week.
Did you ever were tempted to beat that record and make it 5 out of 5 in every class?
I tried. It's just like some of the teachers really loved me. Like in fact, most of the teachers liked me a lot. So it was just like they were kicking me out because I was disrupting the lessons, because I was just making everybody laugh and shit like that. So yeah, but there was one particular teacher who I could never do wrong in her eyes. Doesn't matter what I do, what I say. She was just like, please keep quiet, and then she'll continue with the lesson.
What school did you go to? In high school?
Yeah, high school. There's a school called Binzhou, which is a private school. And yeah.
Which part of Toronto that was?
And then also.
Forgot to mention you're also from Toronto, yeah.
So Binzhou is in Zambia.
Ah, okay.
So and then also I think I went to Milwee Middle School. I was in Florida. And yeah.
So how old were you when you left Zambia?
16.
16. So you guys went first to Florida and then to Canada?
Went to Florida, stayed there for a few years, went back to Zambia for a bit, then to Canada. And the reason is because of 9/11. So 9/11, what happened was before 9/11, if you wanted to migrate to the States, there's almost like a completely different life path that I could have had if I stayed in the US. But yeah, before 9/11, if you wanted to move to the U.S. On an investor's visa, all you had to do was invest 50K into a business in the States, and then you would get residency.
Oh wow.
And then that's how the terrorists were funding their projects and getting visas for the terrorists. They were doing the 50K thing.
Okay.
And so my dad's plan originally was to open up like a convenience store and a gas station, and then just kind of build from there. So because he had his business in Zambia, so he was gonna get passive income from that, and we put the houses on rent, the properties on rent, and yeah, so that was the plan. But then we moved literally 6 months after 9/11. And so then it became a whole legal issue where the lawyers said the fee has changed from 50K to, I don't know, something like 250,000 or 150,000 to invest into the US. They made it very, very difficult. So that's how we ended up pivoting the plan from the States after a few years to Canada.
How do you remember your first few years in Zambia? What's the first
My
first
first
impression?
feelings when I went back, or
No, what do you remember? How do you remember the first few years of your life
my life?
in Zambia? In 3 words.
3 words. Traveling,
Uh-huh.
like as in family traveling.
Yeah.
Toys, movies.
So fun, happy.
Well, okay, so yeah, fun. All of those are fun things.
Sure.
All positive stuff. Yeah, so family, like the feeling of big family and like being around my siblings, and then like the traveling part is always exciting for me. I love traveling to different countries, different cities and stuff. And then the toys thing again was also fun. But one thing I learned about myself from the toys. So toys, what that meant for me was, I guess it was a sign of affection from my parents. Like they would buy me toys, and there was excitement, so affectionate excitement, and then also, I think I have some mild form of ADHD because I used to get bored of my toys very quickly, and then I would break them open to see what was inside. So
And then rebuilding them?
no, I was like 5 years old, 4 years old. I can't. I'd break a remote control car to see the engine or whatever, and then it would just be done after that. Throw it away. And so yeah, those are the 3 feelings from early childhood memories.
So now Florida. 3 words to describe your time in Florida.
Difficult. Adaptation. Eye-opening.
Why difficult?
Difficult because when I moved from Zambia, I had people didn't know what Zambia was, like where it was and all that stuff. Because this is one of the things that people complain about with like the American culture, is when they say that Americans don't know about other countries. It's because of the education system. So like when we were studying geography in Zambia, we learned about other countries more than we learned about Zambia. We had a specific class about Zambian history and geography, and then everything else was international. In the US, you just do geography, and history. Most of the time you're talking about the US. You're not talking about other countries. So you don't learn about like the different countries in Africa and the history and all that kind of stuff. So when I moved to the States, I knew more about America than they knew about Africa, and they thought I was from the Caribbean because of my accent at the time. They thought I was from Haiti, actually. Specifically, I remember that. And I was like, that's the opposite side.
So when you moved to Florida, you already spoke English because in Zambia you guys speak English, right?
Yeah, I spoke English, but I had a Zambian accent.
Sure.
I sounded like I was. They didn't know what a Zambian accent was, so
Sound like
they
Shaggy.
picked a Caribbean country understand it. So yeah, I had to do a lot of explaining, a lot of like, I got bullied a little bit because of the accent and just adapting to the culture. So
Which city in Florida do you guys go to?
Orlando.
Ah, yeah.
So yeah, I got bullied a little bit, and then I would say 6 months into being in the U.S., maybe 3 to 6 months, my accent started to, kids adapt. That's what adaptation.
How old were you? 16, you said?
10.
Ah, 10, okay.
You know how kids adapt really
Yeah,
quickly. So
easy.
like within 3 to 6 months, my accent changed. I started to use a lot more of the slang. I started to understand the culture. I started playing American football. I started playing basketball, and all that kind of stuff. So I started to basically become an American. Like, so that's where the adaptation side of things comes in. So that was my second word that I used to describe it.
How long you guys stayed in Florida?
I was there for like 3 years.
3 years. And then after that, Canada?
Yeah.
3 words to describe your experience in Canada.
Canada.
And Canada, you mean Toronto, right?
Do you want me to talk about feelings or just 3 words to describe?
First 3 words that come to your mind.
Cold.
Oh, of course.
The first one. Family friendly.
Yeah.
Second. Cold, family friendly, and amazing summer. That's not one word.
Oh, yeah.
Summer.
That was in the mid 90s, mid 2000s. 2000, okay, yeah. Good times indeed, yeah.
So when I say cold, I mean that's obvious. It's self-explanatory. 8 months of the year, it's fucking freezing.
Were you prepared for that?
No.
How did you cope
people
first
told me
winter?
about it. Like I had family, friends, and family there already. But yeah, I wasn't prepared for it. Okay, I wasn't prepared for the length of cold. Like if it was cold for 3 months, fair enough. But 8 months is a bit much, And then what was the family friendly side of things? I just always felt that. Wait. Okay.
It's okay, have some,
The
like
kid
I said,
with
flavor.
headphones on doesn't know how loud he's being.
Yeah.
Anyways, so family friendly side of things, it's kind of like BGC, right? Like if you look around, you should record a pan of the city. If you look around, it's very clean, it's very quiet, relatively compared to most metropolitan cities.
The rest of Manila even.
And the rest of Manila, of course. And you can walk around here 2 o'clock in the morning, 12 a.m., whatever, and feel safe. Whereas, am I still in frame?
Oh, yes, yes. Good point.
Whereas, like, places, and Guangzhou is similar in that way, but Guangzhou is a little bit more
Lot less.
dirty and loud. But whereas, like, a place like, I would say, like, New York, or even London, certain parts of London, you wouldn't want to be walking around there at the middle of 2 o'clock in the morning.
Nowadays
So,
in Toronto, even during the day, this place you would not even go.
yeah,
It's getting bad.
but I associate Toronto and Canada in general with family friendly. It's like a great place to raise your kids. It's consistent. Everything's consistent. That's kind of like how I got bored a little bit when I was there, because it's like I'm doing the same things every day. Everything's nice. Everything's perfect. And there's no unpredictability to it. So moving to China was completely opposite, because everything was unpredictable. You didn't know what was going to happen on a daily basis. You still don't know what's going to happen on a daily basis. So family friendly. And then the last point that I said was summer.
Summer, yeah.
I love the summers in Canada,
Sure.
because you have 4 months of perfect weather,
Long days.
long days. Sun comes up at 5:30, goes down at 10 p.m. So you have a long ass day. It's beautiful. Going to watch baseball games, Blue Jays, grab a beer.
Chilling with downtown, yeah.
And when I was single, the girls were in short shorts with the Blue Jays top on, the caps. That's like an image that I always had in my mind. Yeah, just going out, festivals, concerts.
Did you ever go to any Caribana?
Caravana, yeah, for sure. Caravana a couple times. Yeah.
Beautiful. And then
But for anyone that doesn't know what Caravana is, So
Oh.
there's a huge Caribbean culture in Toronto, in Canada in general, but Toronto specifically, and they do this festival every year. It's not just in Canada.
On
It's
the first weekend of August.
first weekend, yeah. And it's in the Caribbean as well. It's called Caravana, and just basically the girls dress up like
It's the people
makeup,
parade. It's
short
like
shorts,
Brazilian Real Samba,
whatever,
you know.
like, yeah, and then the guys also do the same thing. And then there's a parade, and there's music playing. There's a DJ. Everyone's dancing outside. Then they go out to the nightclubs afterwards.
People coming from the U.S.
Yeah, people come from other countries to see Caravana, participate.
Yeah, beautiful. So after that, so we talked about Zambia, U.S., Canada, and then China,
Yeah,
Guangzhou.
China.
So tell us first, who are you? So I know because I've been in that position. You can spend all your time doing all the research you want, but nothing prepares you from when you actually arrive, and that applies to any country in the world, even more so China.
Mhm.
So how much shocked were you when you landed within the first 24 hours in Guangzhou?
Well, I wasn't that shocked because I'd been
Yeah,
to China
yeah.
before when I was 16
Mhm.
with my mom. What was different, the only thing I would say that was shocking was when I went at 16, there was no Tianhe.
Oh wow.
Tianhe was being developed at that time, right?
Zhao is like the BGC of Guangzhou, or the KLCC of in Kuala Lumpur.
So the main area was at what's the older version, all the fancy store, the Gucci store and stuff like that. You know the area I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Older part of Guangzhou.
Yeah.
I just don't remember the name right now, but
Yeah,
they don't come to me.
yeah.
But anyways, I've talked about it on my podcast and stuff. Yeah, so there's an older area of Binzhou where it's kind of like Makati in some sense, where the streets are tiny
Mm.
and like you have these tallest buildings that are old, but then you have these tiny ass streets, and then there's a bunch of people, and then you have shopping malls, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, all that stuff. But I wasn't impressed. Like, you know, I was walking around. This is 16. I was walking around. I'm like looking around, like, I don't want to be here. Why are we here? Just complaining, bitching, and moaning at my mom the whole trip.
Mm.
When I came back when I was 22, everything had changed. Now there's Tianhe. I go to Tianhe. I'm like, whoa, this place is bigger than Toronto. The side streets are like 2 lanes of a road. There's so much space. I was like, oh my god, like this is crazy. And then I'm looking at the buildings and I'm like, fuck, this is
Shiny, yeah.
yeah. I was just
Golden.
like looking around the whole time, like this is much more developed than Canada. And that was probably the most surprising part was that. But everything else I had kind of experienced before, even going to the markets and all that stuff. I had done that. So yeah.
I think there's a school here. That's okay, keep going, don't worry.
No, I'm done with my point.
So, did you speak any Chinese when you went to Guangzhou?
Yeah, so funny enough, I took a 6-month introductory course to Mandarin just
Wow.
before I went to China. It was not because I knew I was going to China, it was just because my friend was studying Mandarin because he was doing business with China. His name is Dima Shah. And he was like, man, do you want to come and...
It's okay, keep going, that's fine.
They're about to leave.
It adds to extra charm.
Yeah, so he was like, man, do you want to try and do a Mandarin course with me? And I was like, yeah, cool. So I paid. It was like I got a discount and I paid for 6 months. And in the process of doing Mandarin, that was the moment when I realized. I also found your thread on the forum, and I started watching the YouTube videos from Into China. It all came around the same time, and then I was just like, things just clicked, and I said, okay, I'm going to move to China after school.
So one thing I noticed about China myself, because I tried learning Chinese myself before coming, I'm good with languages. I speak 6 languages. The only 2 I learned in school, English and French. All the rest I taught them myself. But Chinese, there's so much you can, even if you spend 6 months, for me I spent a few months learning, but once I arrived and started speaking, the locals would tell me, Shema, Tin Budong. Did you encounter that too?
Yeah, at the beginning, like I remember, I mean, I wasn't fluent, right? So it was just like I knew how to introduce myself, where I'm from, ask for food or whatever, like those kind of small details I knew at the beginning. So that was good. But what I found was that the Chinese that I was learning in school, because by the way I went to university in China as well to study Mandarin. That was the pretext that I lied to my parents about to get them to pay for my ticket and my life. So the Chinese I was learning was like perfect pronunciation of Chinese, right? Now when you're in Guangzhou is a
Cantonese.
metropolitan city.
Yeah.
So all the people that are working in Guangzhou, a lot of them are not from Guangzhou. So they have different accents, right? And then you come in with this like posh, perfect accent. I would like to go to the theater, and then they're like, what the I don't understand what you're saying. You know what I mean? So I had to like really adapt again, I had to adapt to the accent again, second time, right? Adapt in the US, adapt to China. And I remember the first day that I celebrated actually. I told the taxi driver my address in Chinese, in Mandarin. He understood me perfectly, and I was like, finally,
Hallelujah.
they understand me. Yeah, so and things started to change after that. But yeah, once I understood that I don't have to use certain words. For example, ni hao ma, nobody says that. People say ni hao.
Yeah.
They don't say ni hao ma. It's like
Yeah.
saying hello, how are you doing today? Hello, good. You know, it's like no, just say hi. What's up? You know, it's like that's how normal people speak to each other. So yeah.
Nice. And then after China, now you're in beautiful Manila, Philippines. Tell us about 3 things that you love. That if you can summarize your time in Manila with 3 words.
That's very difficult because like there's so many things I could say.
Yeah.
But I would say weather,
Yes.
beaches. In fact, scratch beaches, ocean.
Yeah.
Third one would be comfortability. Comfortability, yeah. To expand on what those
Yes,
3
please.
things mean. So weather's pretty obvious. You've seen nice weather, sunny.
I guess we'll take it over the cold in Canada any day, yeah?
Yeah,
Under the
exactly.
hot, the humidity.
It's never cold unless you
Yeah.
go to a mountain.
Uh-huh.
The only thing I'll say, yeah, there's a rainy season, which kind of sucks, but that's.
When is the rainy season in Manila?
It's supposed to be from July till August. Something
Okay.
like that. June to August.
So
But
now in
it's
the dry
been
season?
much longer, and then also April as well. I remember what's rainy?
From July to October.
Yeah, July to it's not October. It's supposed to be
October.
September.
No, till October. And October, November, it's a typhoon season.
Yeah, but that's still rainy season.
Rainy, but it's already more like typhoon.
We're talking about rain, though. What
July
happens?
to October.
What
Google
happens?
says.
What happens in a typhoon?
Google says
Does it
July
rain
to
in a
October.
typhoon? Does it rain in a typhoon?
It's rain, but not
Exactly,
also,
so
but
it's
it's
rain.
windy as well.
So it's
and if
still
it's
rainy
not typhoon, it's just rain. So it's a different
No,
rain.
it's still rain.
Speaking of typhoon,
Rain is involved. Like
speaking of typhoons, how is it experiencing a typhoon here in Manila and the comfort of BGC? Does it affect you day
it
to day?
just gets dark, really. Like
When it is really
if you're not outside, then,
windy?
yeah, but if you're not outside,
Yeah.
you don't really notice much besides it being dark.
Have you had
Maybe
any-
one time when it was really windy, it was rattling, like the windows were rattling.
Any windows broken or
No.
anything flying or?
No. You can even still leave your clothes on the balcony.
Really?
Yeah, I've never taken my clothes off during a typhoon. I don't. It's not that bad. The worst part for me is like the internet starts to get slow, data issues and stuff like that. So it makes it slightly more difficult to work. But besides that, no. So, anyways, like what was the first part that I said? Weather. Okay, so yeah.
Yes.
Besides the rainy season, everything else is perfect. Then next to the ocean, of course, you have thousands of islands in the Philippines.
What's your favorite beach so far?
My favorite beach? Puka Beach in Boracay, I think.
Okay.
It's a tie between Puka Beach in Boracay and Ananyuan Beach in Puerto Galera. Yeah, those are amazing beaches. The ocean is clear, and the sand is white, and it's not polluted, and all that stuff. Everything's clean there, and they're also kind of like they're beaches that are a little bit far away from the main areas of the islands.
Mm-hmm.
So it almost feels like a private beach when you're there. And specific, in fact, I'm not going to say anything else. Keep the secrets. Next, comfortability. Yeah, I mean, you can look around. Like, I mean, we really did a pan of the area and everything like that. Being able to walk around. Like in BGC, where I live specifically. I have a YouTube video where I did like an MTV Cribs parody, so you can see my condo in that video. It's called, I think it's called MTV Cribs parody. If you check Source Mine Asia on YouTube, I could probably send you a link as well. But like the affordability of the condos, so I live in a 120 square meter condo, which
3-bedroom?
it's technically 3 bedrooms because we have a Yaya's room. Yaya will be a live-in cleaner, and it's 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. Right now, that Yaya's room, because we have a part-time cleaner, doesn't live with us. The Yaya's room is essentially a storage room, and the cat that we're fostering currently also lives in there. So yeah, 2 bedrooms. One has the same view as this. The other one has a view of the other side. You have the amenities like swimming pool, gym, all these kind of things. And a condo like this in Canada for this size, this area, like be downtown Toronto, it would probably cost something like, I want to say, $6K plus per month.
You're lucky.
US.
The last time I was in Toronto, even a room in a house, an Airbnb was like $1,500. Not Airbnb, local, $1,500 in a basement. A studio's $2,000, $2,500, $3,000 downtown, unfurnished, no utilities.
Oh yeah, no. If you add furniture, then this place will cost like closer to $10,000.
Oh yeah, easy.
Yeah.
How much are you paying now?
I don't want to say.
Alright. Let's say a lot less than that.
Let's just say it's less than 2K.
Damn.
Less than 2K. Yeah.
That's beautiful. This is one of the reasons that we love living in Asia. It's not just about saving a buck, but it's mostly about elevating the quality of your life. You get an incredible lifestyle. You can live like a millionaire without being one.
You know what's funny is like I made a video the first time I came to the Philippines, second time I came to the Philippines, and I rented Airbnb at the Gramercy in Makati.
Stay there.
It's nice, right?
Yes.
You see the 3 swimming pools and all that
Yeah.
stuff. 360 view of the city, amazing rooftop, all that stuff. So I made a video and I said, live like a king. You don't have to be in a situation where you're living somewhere and you're struggling to get by, or you're just barely, like, you're making $5K a month, but like you're spending $3,000 to $4,000 on where you live and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So you're not enjoying your life, right? And I remember, I don't know why it's still stuck in my mind. There was a guy who was like, oh well, you should just try to make more money rather than running away from your country and going somewhere where it's cheap. And I was like, that's backwards logic. I understand, like, okay, just because I'm living somewhere where I'm more comfortable doesn't mean that I'm not going to
It's not about escaping,
strive
it's about
to improve. Yeah.
exploring the world.
And exactly. And it's the same thing with China, right? Like when I moved to China, part of the reason why I chose China is because it's easy to get, or it was easy to get, an English teaching job. Make $2,000 to $3,000 a month, and my rent was $300 a month. My food, because at the time I used to cook every day, was $300 a month essentially. Maybe
So living on $1,000 and saving the rest.
Yeah. And I was saving money, and then I was able to go wherever. Like I wanted to go on a vacation,
Taking cabs everywhere, eating out all the time, yes.
taxis, whatever, gym memberships, all that stuff. I could pay for it while I was in the process of studying Chinese and starting a company.
You know, when I was in Canada before living here, I was spending $4,000 Canadian
Yeah.
without leaving the house. That was barely including just basic groceries. Forget about eating out. Forget about social life or anything else. Now I'm based in KL, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I live my best life on $2,000 a month. I live in a place as beautiful as this one. You guys, can't wait to have you guys in KL. Show you guys. Amazing condo, eating out all the time, grab everywhere. You don't even look at price. You live like a millionaire without being one on
Yeah.
2K a month. And when people ask me, why are you in KL? Why are you not in Canada? I say, well, let's put it this way. In Canada, I was barely surviving on 4,000. Here, I'm living my best life on 2,000. It's not just about escaping or saving money, but it's about elevating the quality of your lifestyle, the networking, I'm sick and tired of the cold.
Yeah.
I've paid my dues 25 years in Canada. It's more than enough. I will take the sticky, hot thunderstorms and rains of KL over the whiteouts and snow shoveling of Toronto any freaking day.
Well, a lot of people just don't know what's out there. You know what I mean? It's like even BGC, the first 2 times I came to the Philippines, I didn't know this place existed.
Exactly, because
I thought it was all Makati and Mandarin and like
Yeah.
stuff. I was like, yeah, I can't live here. And then when I saw BGC, I was like, oh, I can definitely live here.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
So it's
absolutely.
also a lack of like education.
And also, a lot of people back home in Canada, they're so entrenched in the way of living there. They're so invested, you know, because they bought into the principle, you know, get a job, career, get married, wife, house, 2.5 kids, and the career. If you show them a different way, I can't tell you how many people that I grew up with, I told them, hey, come here. I will even pay your ticket.
Yeah.
Just come here. They will come up with all kind of excuses. Oh, I can't. Because for people, honestly, I don't know about your circle, for my circle, for them traveling means 1 week in Mexico, Cuba, or if they're very adventurous, Paris and London.
All expenses paid.
Yeah, resort.
Yeah,
I've been
resort,
traveling
yeah.
since I was born, since I was small. I've never been to a resort yet. That's not my style.
I go to resorts here, but like what we do
Yeah, it is different here.
is we leave the resorts
Mm.
and then we go into the city and not city,
Yeah.
town here. Let's say the province. We go into the province and explore.
Yeah.
And do activities and whatever. So like whenever we're taking a vacation in Philippines, whatever, I create like not an itinerary, but sort of a list of things we could do in that area, and then we just kind of pick and choose what we want to do. So Portugalera was a perfect example where I made a list of restaurants and all that stuff. And then while you're there, you ask the locals as well, like, we want to do X, where should we go? Like, there's one place we went to called Extreme Sports. It's the first time my girlfriend did the crossbow thing. And then they had like ATVs and all this stuff, like, and it was super fun driving through the mud, you know, like shooting. It was a shooting range with pellet guns and stuff. So it's like all these kind of different activities, you know, jet skis, sailing, and all that. So yeah, so you can go to a resort, but as long as you go out of the resort, don't stay at the resort the whole time.
Exactly. We explore.
How like the beach, and then I'm still not gonna say. Keep it that secret.
You can tell me after off
Sorry.
record.
I keep wanting to say it, but I'm like, I don't want to get people too hyped about the Philippines. But I stopped talking about the Philippines on my podcast, by the way.
I think the cat is out of the bag because there's so many YouTubers talking about the Philippines. I thought the same thing about Malaysia. I didn't want to talk about Malaysia. I want to keep it. I don't want Malaysia to turn like the new Thailand.
Yeah, it's like, hey, go to Thailand. You know,
Yes.
Thailand is much better.
Go to Thailand. Go to the Philippines. Go to Cambodia. You know.
Yeah, Thailand is so much better.
Malaysia,
Trust
stay
me.
away. It's a Muslim country. Stay away.
Vietnam.
Yeah.
Da Nang, you know.
No, man, that's fine. That's fine. So if you're looking, let's say if you had a time machine,
Yeah.
and you can sit face to face like we're sitting right now with an 18-year-old Rico. What's the number one piece of advice you would give to him, knowing all that you know now?
18-year-old version of me, what was I doing? I was trying to study, and I was getting my first jobs, part-time jobs. I wouldn't really have too much advice in terms of changing like anything around my personality or anything I was doing, because I was working out, I was doing like I was good. The only thing I would say is I would tell myself to read the 4-Hour Work Week
Earlier.
But then the thing is, oh no, it's a moot point because I read it 1 year later. I read it when I was 19. Okay, I would tell myself to start to focus on entrepreneurship opportunities in Canada. So start going to networking events. That's what I would mention. That's it.
Yeah.
Start going to getting into the brain of an entrepreneur. You know what I mean? That's what I'll tell myself. Because I mean, I knew I wanted to start a business, but at that time I was just like partying and whatever. Like, so it was in the back of my mind. It was completely in the back of my mind.
So when you finished high school, did you straight go to college, university, or did you take time off to travel or do anything?
Oh. You want to know a story?
Please. I'm a collector of stories.
My dad passed. Bless his heart.
Indeed.
But this is gonna sound a little bit racist, but it's a funny story. So like I'm at school, right? This is my last year of school. So we're talking in sort of like a social studies class where we used to talk about social issues around the world and blah blah blah. And the teacher was British, and he was asking us, "What are you guys gonna do after you finish high school? Are you gonna go there?" Same question he asked me. And then a lot of people were like, "Oh, I want to take a gap year and travel and all this stuff. Oh, I want to go visit my family in Europe and blah blah blah." And I was like, when he came to me, I was like, I would like to take a gap year and travel, but I'm probably going to go directly to college. And then the teacher was like, "Why don't you take a gap year?" And I was like, "I don't think my dad would go for that."
You're gonna do what, sir?
I don't think my dad would go for that.
Okay.
And he was like, "No," he hyped me up and he gassed me up. He was like, "I know, you have to sit down with him at dinner tonight and just explain this and that. This is why it's important for me to experience this travel." And I was like, "You know what? Yeah, you know what? You're right." I'm like, "Yeah." Sat down at dinner, came with confidence. Dinner table. My dad always sat at the head of the table where I'm sitting right now. And then I'm working up, like, okay, creating my speech in my mind.
The pitch, yeah.
And then, so towards the end of dinner, I was full, eating fruits and stuff for dessert. And then I go like, "Dad, I want to talk to you about something." And he's like, "What?" So I was like, I was talking to my teacher today. We're talking about how, you know, it would be a good idea for me to travel to Europe for 6 months with my friends to experience life, to grow up, you know, and you know, take on some challenges before I go to college, and all that. And it's like my dad responds, "We're not white people." Finish your fruits and shut up.
Damn.
Shut me down.
That's tough.
Next day I went to school. I looked at my teacher like,
Do you tell him?
I was just like, you messed me up, man. You got me all excited, hyped, gassed me up, and I just got
Deflated.
shut down,
Yeah.
deflated, confidence gone, everything. We're not white people. What do you think we're? White people? Finish your banana. Yeah, so that's how that went. So I went to college directly.
So speaking of that, when you went on your own to China the first time, did you get any resistance from your father?
No, he was actually very supportive about it.
Okay.
Because I sent him, it was based in logic. It wasn't like, the Europe thing was an emotion thing, right?
Yeah.
So that's why he shut it down.
No
But
planning.
the China
no nothing,
thing
yeah.
was logic, because I told him, I was doing my international business class, and my professor was talking about the Chinese economy and how it was expanding. And so I sent him a full, like I said, my dad, like a long email explaining basically what I learned in class. And then I said to him, like, I would like to move to China because I think there's more opportunities in China for a business person than in Canada. And he was like, I agree with you. I'm gonna learn the language and all that stuff. So like that's. So he was like, yeah, okay, cool. And I said, I need to pay for it. He said,
You can go, but you gotta pay for your way. That's what he said?
no. He said, no. I said you need to pay for it.
Okay.
I'm joking.
Nice.
Obviously, I said it differently, but I basically just broke down the costs, so plane tickets and all that stuff, and then and the visa, school fees, and then I also was working part time, so I told him I'm gonna save up some money, which I did. I think I saved up around 1,000 to 2,000 Canadian.
1 to 2,000?
Yeah, Canadian.
Okay.
By the way, I was also partially paying my rent at the time, so like,
Okay.
I could have saved up more money, but
So you went to China with just $2,000?
$2,000 plus money that my parents gave me, and my parents were sending me money every month.
Ah, okay. Did you have a job lined up or?
No, I went to school. They thought I was in school,
okay.
so they were paying for my expenses. I got a job. I started teaching English in China 3 months after I arrived.
So when you arrived to China, did you link up with that network? Those the China Circle?
Just to clarify what my plan was.
Uh,
I was doing the thing that, so I calculated how much money I needed to survive in China for 3 to 6 months. So that's where the 2K number came from. Because I was going to stay in the dorms at school, which didn't work out. That's a long story. Doesn't matter. So I ended up getting an apartment. So I had enough money for 3 months instead of 6 months. So I had 6 months if I stayed at school, 3 months if I stayed in the apartment. During that 3-month period, I spent going to school and applying for a teaching job. Then I got a teaching job, and then from there I was gravy, and I started the company like 5 months later. So 8 months after being in China.
you know, we can do an entire episode, even an entire podcast just on China because it's so massive.
Yeah.
But let me ask you another question. We'll come back to China later on. Have you pondered how your life would have been different had you not gone to China and stayed in Canada?
I'd probably be working in a bank somewhere.
Yeah.
Somewhere in Canada.
Yeah. Still been there by now?
I mean, 10 years later, no. I probably would go crazy.
I mean, still being in Canada, but maybe a different career, a different path. But
Okay, so my plan before I moved to China was to start a company in Canada. So most likely I would have worked in the bank, got a loan, or got investors, and started something.
what type of company you have in mind?
I had no clue. I had no idea.
These are the best companies to start.
I had no idea what type of company I wanted to start, and that was part of the reason why it was so difficult because, in a developed country, you have to come up with something that people don't know that they want.
Mm-hmm.
In a developing country, people know they want something, they just don't have it yet. So it's much easier to go to the developing country and offer a solution than to find a problem that doesn't exist yet. You
So
understand what I mean?
let's say, speaking of that exact principle now, let's say you just arrived today in Manila, or someone that is looking to come to the Philippines, and you tell them, okay, what business would be a good business to start?
Do you want me to give away my secret?
I don't know, but just a little bit, you know.
That's okay. I have an abundance mentality.
Exactly.
I would say that there's a lot of different things, man. Like
One service that is not
we could do
available here.
We could
that-
do a whole podcast about
Oh,
that.
absolutely.
One service that's not here. There's things that I would improve. I'll start with that. Maybe it'll trigger some other memories. So then, for example, they have these payment applications like Gcash and Alipay and stuff. Alipay is Chinese.
Uh-huh.
Gcash, Grab also has their own pay, Grab Pay. But it's so buggy. The apps are so buggy. They're not really intuitive. So there's a lot of, and I think it's a lack of competition. Like even Grab itself, Grab is the only car service. Like otherwise you're using.
Yeah, don't have anything else.
Yeah.
In Thailand, you have two different options, and
Gojek, right? Gojek.
yeah, another thing. And Malaysia, they have, even, believe it or not, Air Asia. They have their own branch. I mean, that does just cars.
There used to be Uber,
Yeah, they
and
kicked out.
there used to be Uber here. So it was Uber and Grab. Then Grab
Yeah.
bought Uber. Once Grab bought Uber, everything went to shit.
Grab bought Uber. Wow.
Yeah, the Uber branch that was here.
Ah.
Grab
Grab is Chinese, right?
I'm not sure.
No, Didi is Chinese.
Didi is Chinese.
Do you have Didi here? Because all
No,
it's
it's
something
just
in
Grab.
Chinese.
It's
Yeah.
just Grab.
Okay.
They have zero competition.
Ah.
The app looks almost exactly the same as it was 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
It functions exactly the same, and it's also buggy. The drivers sometimes, so for example, with Didi and in Uber during rush hour, right? You can bid, like you can put a tip on top
Yes.
to get a driver. You can't do that with Grab. Like with Grab, you just have to sit there and wait until you
Sometimes they
get
cancel on you at the last minute.
last minute to cancel and all that stuff. So like all these small things that I would change if I was able to start my own car service. Unfortunately, you have to deal with corruption here. So if you're not connected to the government or you don't have contacts,
So that's why
it's
you
going to be
think
very difficult.
there's
for
no
you to-
competition?
Yeah, and I think that's probably why Uber pulls out. Is they're probably having to deal with a lot of bribery and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, so it is what
Makes
it is.
sense.
Other stuff. Just trying to know what else.
One thing I noticed, at least in Malaysia, I don't know if that applies to you, but I haven't been long enough here, is lack of customer service.
Philippines is known for customer service, but I think the training needs to be improved.
I ask them something, they cannot think for themselves, they cannot think outside the box, it has to be black and white. Like, I went to a pizza place today. I don't eat pork. I said, can you please replace the pork with chicken? Or I didn't want rice. Can you please give me instead of rice something else? No, we can't do that. Something very simple as that.
Yeah, I know. I work in the restaurant, believe me.
It's like a bunch of different stuff that I would improve. Thinking about like recent things where it was like, oh, in China they would do it like this, or in Canada they would do it like this.
Yeah.
There's two ideas. One is about the restaurants and like general what do you call it? Places to go to have fun, activities and stuff. In China, in Canada, I'm sure you have apps where
Sorry, I think this is stopped. Maybe it's full.
maybe because we went longer than expected.
It's been over an hour. Oh, battery, low battery. Fuck.
I can bring the charger.
I don't know if it's.
Check
So
how much
we
space
have
is.
55 minutes. Oh. Go. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know where we left off, but I'll just start from your last question,
Yeah.
which is about what things could you bring to the Philippines. So yeah, I was explaining how like like in developed countries or places like China, Canada, US, you have apps that you can book activities on, right? So if you wanted to book a restaurant, I think one is called Open Table, and then if you want to like go paintballing, whatever, you can book through the app or buy tickets for the theater. Philippines, they have websites that you could do that on, but there's no applications that kind of integrate all those things together. And it's a simple thing, developing the app. And if they do have some apps, they don't function properly. So it's a situation of developing a functioning app, integrating the payment systems, credit card, and all those things, and then going to the various businesses and saying, I have this app, I want to list your company on my application. This is how it's going to work. This is how the payments will integrate with your payment system, and yeah, we move from there. So I think the reason why that stuff doesn't happen is because one, a lot of Filipino people don't have bank accounts,
Yes.
so a lot of it is cash payments. So there's less incentive for companies to make apps and things like that. It's changing with Gcash. and I almost feel like more Filipino people have GCash than they have bank accounts.
Yes.
But anyway, so like it's changing slowly, but like online payments, ordering stuff online, paying online is still a very new thing. Perfect example would be Lazada. When I first moved here, I was using Lazada. Lazada had online payments, but most people were using COD. They
Cash
didn't
on
have
delivery,
GCash, cash on delivery. They didn't have GCash payments at all. So it was either credit card or cash on delivery. And a lot of the delivery people were surprised that I already paid for that item through credit card. They're like, "Oh, sir, I'm downstairs. Can you bring the cash?" And I was like, I already paid for it. Check. Like credit card payment. Oh, sorry, sir. I'll leave it at the lobby. You know, so
You
that's
think you're not trying to double dip?
sorry.
You think you're not trying to double dip?
No, maybe some of them, but yeah, like I just think that things like that, anything that's a little bit more tech-based, around amenities for, let's say, the upper middle class of people. Second thing is they have a lot of gentlemen's lounges here, but they're very expensive. When I say gentlemen's lounge, it's just like there's a place called the Refine before.
On show me before?
I showed you, yeah. You go there, it's a networking place, co-working space, haircuts, manicure, pedicures, massages. You can play video games there, there's a bar.
Would they allow non-members to drop in and pay a fee to get in? Or?
Yeah, you can go, even non-members, yeah. You go, it's just the prices are different for non-members, so it's more expensive. Like as in like anything, like manicure, pedicure, drinks, whatever, it's more expensive. But yeah, like places like that, there was only one place like that before, the Refine in Manila, and the other places are for people that are essentially millionaires, you know. So that's a boys' club, and very few people can enter. But the Refine was accessible. It was like $40 a month, you know. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so something like that, like if you can implement more of those kind of things here, where you make luxury things seemingly accessible for people, that's you have a lot of success with that.
Awesome. Beautiful. So tell us about your business. What are you doing now? What's Rico building? What's your impact in the world?
What am I building? Okay, so in terms of what I'm building right now is, so we have a Discord, which the concept I think I already talked about on your show before. But the concept behind the Discord was that we wanted to essentially, our marketing and our business focus has been a little bit more towards larger companies, so companies that are making 7 figures in revenue plus, more established companies. But we come from the startup crowdfunding space, so we still wanted to service those clients, continue to work with them. And so I figured having a Discord would be better, because then I can answer questions to that crowd while still working with larger companies. So that's been one of the main focuses in the last 2 years here. And then recently we started working with a new marketing company that markets through LinkedIn and LinkedIn ads and stuff like that. So that's been interesting process. There's some other things that we're at the beginning stages of in terms of developing our sales team more. So we have salespeople. We have Mike, who's also a co-founder. He's doing sales in the States. We're hiring another salesperson in the States. His name is Ryan. I think he also listens to the podcast. So shout out Ryan if you're listening to this right now. And then we have people in the Philippines for that content marketing team. So it's more so, what we're trying to do is we want to have people in different time zones who can handle the clients in different time zones.
Round the clock.
Yeah, so that it's not a situation where somebody tries to contact us at 2 o'clock in the morning and for me to know which emails I'm supposed to check. So anyways, yeah, I got a personal assistant last year. Her name is Crystal, and that's been one of the best decisions I made because she's been able to, like, when I'm not available, my team can contact her, and then she'll contact me. She's here in the Philippines. She's in Manila. So she has my phone number and everything. She can call me, and then she does 50% of the work for social media, 50% for me, just my general life, which is also fantastic. Yesterday she took my dog to the vet, for example. So it's things that free up time and mental energy for me.
Beautiful.
So I guess to summarize, besides the stuff that we're doing as a company, it's expansion in terms of revenue, and then the second part is really just trying to systemize more and free up my mental space so I can sort of think about more ideas of how to expand the company and improve the company without spending too much money.
So,
Because that's one of the biggest mistakes I've made throughout the time that I've been running the company. It was expansion, raised expenses, and then when you're not making as much money and you're losing money, but you know, it's a stressful period.
so do you see yourself based in Manila for good, or is it just like
I don't know yet. I can't decide that. Like for now, I mean, I really like living here. I'm comfortable here, and established. So if I could find a way of keeping my condo or keeping my stuff here, and then also still going somewhere for 3 to 6 months at a time, then yeah. But then that might mean I'll either have to put my stuff in storage or
Did you buy a
pay
lot of
rent
stuff?
in 2 places. Huh?
Did you buy a lot of stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Over the course of 3 years, yeah.
Yeah.
I have a lot of stuff that I've bought.
So, of all the countries around Asia available, what made you choose the Philippines and not say Thailand, which is very popular for digital nomads and entrepreneurs, or Malaysia or Indonesia?
Why did I choose the Philippines? Thailand is too stereotypical for me.
Too crazy, too wild?
Bangkok is too loud.
Yes.
It's way too loud. Bangkok is like Makati times 10.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's just too much. Even expats that love Bangkok, they have to take trips out of Bangkok on a regular to decompress. The islands I could never do with Thailand. Like again, it's mostly partying and all that stuff. Malaysia, I haven't been to Malaysia.
You should come. You will love it.
It was a
Especially Kuala Lumpur.
recommendation. It was a
Yeah.
recommendation from one of my friends as well, but Kuala Lumpur. What was the other place? Okay, so I was saying about
Indonesia or
Thailand.
Bali.
Chiang Mai.
Yeah.
Chiang Mai is too small. Chiang Mai is
Yes,
like
I agree.
fucking. It reminds me of like Sudbury in Ontario.
College town. For
Yeah,
example.
college town, tiny. There's barely a building over
Full
2
of
stories.
hippies, you know.
Hippies everywhere. I don't like hippies, but elephant pants.
Yeah. Oh
Stop wearing
God.
the elephant pants. God damn it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That stuff. Yeah, I couldn't do it. Chiang Mai. Indonesia. I loved Indonesia. That's where I was before I came here, right? During COVID.
Where?
Just before COVID. I was on vacation in Indonesia.
Oh. Which part? Jakarta or?
Jakarta and Bali. So Bali is similar to Chiang Mai to me. It's just a giant Chiang Mai
On the beach.
by the beach. Yeah. So I was like, I can't do Bali. There's no ambition. You know, you're talking to people about like entrepreneurship and things that you want to accomplish in life, and they're like, yeah, let's just go to the beach and surf, man.
Get drunk. Let's go party.
Let's just go party, dude. I'm like,
Yeah.
baseball. Indonesia, Jakarta was cool. I could do Jakarta. I'm not sure if I could stay there very long, maybe like 3 months, 6 months. I need to see more of Jakarta. I was there for 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks.
How would you compare Jakarta to Manila, for example?
It's older.
That's what?
It's older,
Okay.
and it's way more crowded.
Oh really?
Smaller streets, the actual roads themselves. It's kind of confusing the way they set up the whole highway
Okay.
system. It's like zigzagging all over the place. Like you can't, like, for example, if you're there, that's the highway, right? And there's an exit here, and then there's a crosswalk here. You want to come to Icon Plaza, this building.
You have to go all
You
around.
should just be able to get out of the car, drop me off here, I'll walk across the street. No, you can't. You have to go roundabout, cross, go down to another road, cross again, and then
Wow.
finally you're at your building. So you're taking an extra fucking 25 minutes to go to a place that was like 5 minutes across the street. You know what I mean? So that was like really frustrating. So that's the traffic in Jakarta is insane, absolutely insane. So that's why I said I
Are
need
you
to
saying
learn.
traffic in Jakarta is even worse than
It's
Manila?
much worse.
Really?
Because of what I just said.
Yeah.
Here at least, like if it was traffic, you
Yeah.
just drop me off. I'll just walk
Yeah.
10 minutes to my building. But like in Jakarta, you can't do that. You
Yeah,
can't
wow.
just. It's not a walking city. It's a city where you have to drive everywhere. You have to go on the highways, and it's like just convoluted a little bit, the roads. So not to complain about it. That's how they set it up. But that causes a lot of issues when you have time-sensitive situations.
Sure.
So I had a webinar that I was supposed to do in Jakarta. I went to a restaurant and I left an hour. I was 15 minutes away from my condo. I left an hour before my webinar, as in
And you couldn't
from the
make it.
restaurant.
Yeah.
I had to start the webinar on my phone
Wow.
because I was still in the car after like an hour and 5 minutes.
Probably would have arrived fast if you had walked.
No, but that's the point.
You can walk. Yeah, yeah.
Because of that, the system that they
Yeah,
have,
yeah, yeah.
you know, near the highway and stuff. So like, I don't know, like that's something I would have to learn, like how to navigate around Jakarta and make sure I'm not late for certain things. I learned it here. Like I know when traffic is at its peak and those kind of things. And
So what are the times to avoid getting anywhere here in Manila?
I'll say anytime from like 5:30 till 7:30, maybe 7, depending on where you are, of course. It's also more difficult to get a car, so you have to start calling a car maybe 30, 40 minutes before. You know, I told you that.
Like the other night when I came, it said 8:15. I left. I called the Grab at 7:10. Grab came at 7:15. I arrived just by 8 o'clock, and it
Yeah.
was like what, 3 kilometers.
Yeah, exactly.
I would have probably arrived myself by walking if I could.
Yeah. It's supposed to be a 15, 20-minute drive, turns into 45 minutes to an hour. And then plus the waiting for the Grab itself. So you have to take those things into consideration
Yeah.
in any of the countries where. And the thing is, the reason why it's like that, BGC is different because there's actually city planning involved. So when I say Jakarta is older, it's an older city, and it's a giant city, and there's a lot of people there, a lot of people doing business there. So therefore, when they were creating the city, it starts off as a small city that expands, and there's no planning of like this whole city is gonna be like this. It's gonna be efficient travel and stuff. You can see the same thing in Guangzhou, Tianhe versus the older part of Guangzhou with smaller roads and all that. Tianhe was planned, so there's less traffic. They know how to divert traffic and things like that. BGC was also planned. That's why we have a lot of like one-way roads, and it's a grid of straight roads. There's not much curvature of the roads and stuff like that. So that helps the traffic. So yeah, that's another
Beautiful.
reason why I chose to live in BGC rather than.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Well,
Listen, Rico, absolutely amazing talking to you for the past hour and a half here. Let's wrap this up. We can do a part 2 in the next week or so. If people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do so?
You can go to the website sourcepanasia.com. We have obviously the podcast, Major Channel Podcast. We have a Discord, sourcepanasia.com/Discord. YouTube, sourcepanasia on YouTube. We have a exclusive Discord. I do like AMAs every week, or ABAs. I say ask Batman anything. So you can
Why
ask
Batman?
me. Batman.
Yeah.
So you can ask me any questions about manufacturing, business, life, whatever. And then my actual email address is a secret. Not joke. Rico@sourcepanasia.com. Rico@sourcepanasia.com. Yeah. that's it.
Awesome, brother.
All right, thank
Listen,
you.
I
All right,
salute
bro.
you. You truly do the art. Keep shining a light. Keep blessing the world. Stay safe, stay awesome, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Cheers. Bye bye.